Hello, hello, and welcome to Rory's Brainworks, where we get creative and see if it works. Today, we're going to be working with rope ladders. No, nothing like those rope ladders. I mean, I can see how you got confused, but regardless. Rope ladders are an easy rope rung technique that allows you to cover an area of your body, mostly an appendage like an arm or a leg, in a nice little sophisticated technique. It's very simple. But Rory, if it's so simple, why are you showing it to us? Well, it's important to show all facets of any kind of rope work. Every detail counts, and you want to make sure that you have every tool available in your repertoire. Or tool belt, which would be a better analogy. I probably could, but I don't think it would be the safest. I think I would best leave that to survival experts. Speaking of safety, we must first talk about safe, sane, and consensual safety. Be sure to have some safety shears with you at all times. You can always get a new rope. Can't get a new life. And consensual, me, Marie, and Crochet Rory are all consenting adults. Communication is key. Now, before we take a dive into this rope ladder rung tutorial, we must first thank my sponsors, Knothead Nylon.
Knothead Nylon is the destination for all your premium nylon rope bondage needs. Easy to clean, water resistant, up to 1,100 pounds of weight load, and in a wide array of beautiful, vibrant colors, Knothead Nylon will slake your rope desires. At checkout, put in discount code RORY10 for 10% off.
Rope ladders are fun and easy to use, and I think they're underappreciated in the rope world. They're a nice soft introduction into rope bondage, and I think the more of those we have, the better off we're gonna be. There are so many aspects of the bondage world that already make it intimidating, so anything to give someone a gentle nudge, a gentle push into exploring that world is better. That's one of the goals I wanted to have with this channel, is to make it more approachable. And there's really no better way to do that than a hitch karate, which I had done previously, and rope ladders. It is a simple technique that can be elevated. Which, when I say it like that, it makes it sound like I'm in a cooking competition. Here you go, chef. Alright, what I prepared for you today, chef, is a medium rare nylon mignon, basted with butter and rendered duck fat. We also have a puree of parsnips and some beautifully rosemary roasted vegetables. Enjoy. Plating, beautiful. The sear on this nylon is perfect, but we all know what matters most is the cook. Medium rare, you said? Mm-hmm. You know, I've worked so hard to get here, and if that isn't a perfect medium rare, then I might be out of this competition. The mignon, perfect. Very delicate. Parsnip puree, well made. The rosemary roasted vegetables, a little bit simple, but it really completes the plate. Very well balanced. Thank you, chef. You're the one to watch in this competition. No, that didn't make a lot of sense. Anyway, let's get down to it. So I have the middle of my rope, the bight of my rope, and what I'm gonna do is create a basic base for the harness. You could attach with a ladder something that is already attached to the arm and just go down the arm, because that's where we're gonna be putting our ladder, FYI. But I feel when creating ladders, it's better to attach to something more center and substantial, and then bring the ladder down into the appendage you want it to go into. Whether it's on top of the chest or at the waist if you want to go down the legs. So we're going to create something super basic up here. Gonna take the bight of the rope, gonna go around, and we're going to do a simple girth hitch. I'm going to put my ropes through the bight of the rope. We haven't done one of these in a while. And I'm going to create some cross tension with that girth hitch, going as tight as is comfortable for the model. Marie, how does that feel? Good, I'm glad. Now let's go back towards the front again. Now something I could very simply do is start going down this way and beginning my ladder. It's tight, it's compressing down into the body, and it shouldn't need much more than that. As soon as you begin the laddering process, going down the arm, this will be remained in place, but it's a little bit off, and this is my channel, and I like to do things a little extra. So we're gonna add a little design to this very basic harness. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go underneath this chest wrap, and then we're going to do a crossover hitch. So I'm going to go around and back down this way. So we're going to go under, over, under. What goes under must go over. So saith the Rory. All right, so we're going to go under, and then over it, and then under here again. And I'm going to tighten that up a little bit by pulling down this way and having it go around the crossover hitch. Cool. And I'm going to send this in an angle almost parallel with this part right here, along the outside of the arm, just like that. Now a caution we should be wary of, we don't want to be putting pressure up and in this direction. We can put some pressure in a lateral direction going medial into the arm a little bit. You want to be very safe around this area, especially the more you get into the middle of the axillary space right here. The more pressure you put up into an angle like that, the worse it's going to be for your model. That has a lot of angry ligaments, tendons, nerves, and probably worst of all is a big batch of lymphatics. So a big part of ladders is that it needs downward pressure. So we will create our own. This diagonal right here is not enough. This is a means to get that downward pressure going on. So how do we get that? Well, let's do another crossover hitch like this over here. We can spiral around and then go down to create that initial downward pressure that we need. So once again, we're going to start by going under. It's going to then cross over and then under again. Gonna tighten that up as well. Move it towards the median of the arm. The great part about the crossover hitch is it will prevent cinching. We do not want to cinch in this area as well. That's bad. Although bear in mind that the rope ladder is a progression of cinches. But once you've passed on through the initial cinch, the ones above it can no longer cinch. You'll see, or rather, you'll feel. So the main part of a rope ladder is creating a bunch of C's. The letter C, not a bunch of water. From this point on, it's pretty important that we keep this curve going around in that direction. So you can see, we're going to do a backward C right here. Do a backward C, hold it in place with the thumb, come around the arm, and then we're going to go underneath that. That is the basic shape of the rope ladder right here. And I'm going to make this actually a little bit smaller. I'm going to do a bunch of small concentric C's. That is a rope ladder. Yet again, we have provided that downward pressure that is necessary. And what we're going to do is create a C going back the same direction we just came from. Go underneath it, always go underneath. It's much better, much more structurally sound, and prettier in my opinion. So we'll pull to where we get a little bit of an angle and then we can bring it down. Now, instead of keeping the ropes straight in their own parallel design, you can actually fold them over, but it doesn't look quite as nice. At least I don't think it looks quite as nice. I like it better when it's displayed out. It can look all sorts of pretty. I want to make sure that I'm trying to keep the spaces between these C's concentric. Alright, so we got to go back the way we came. So back this way. That's essentially the entire pattern. Yeah, it's just that simple. Now also something to note while on the arm is the elbow divot, the elbow ditch, which is right here. You don't want to impede, just the same as the axillary space up here, you don't want to impede any blood flow, nerve, or lymphatic flow. So we're going to have to create a large C in order to give this area space. And then I'm going to go back to trying to create the same spaces that were up here. And if you got more rope, then you can create more design. You can make these much smaller. And you can be surprised how cool it looks. I know it kind of looks like the interior decoration of a home in the 70s. A very similar design. They did like using those shapes. Same thing over here, you want to give the wrist its space. You can usually put 2 fingers, that's kind of where you want to stop. Just where the thumb is proximal to the wrist, close to the wrist. So this will be our last right here. And what we're going to do to finish it off, to lock it off, is to do the same thing we did up here. Kind of create a crossover hitch that has a definite ending to it. So it looks like I went under and then over, which means I'm going to go under and then over again. Under and over. And once we've done that, we're actually going to pull this out ever so slightly to create a loop. Since we went over, we're going to go under again. So we're going to go under and through that loop, which now makes that a crossover knot. Locks that in place. Looks like a nice little pendant too. Got a little ropies. So if you want to Fun fact, if you want to as a Dom, you can create essentially a mobile flog. You put one on the other arm over there, then you got two flogs and you're just like, pow, 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 pow. Essentially, and bring it up in the scene beforehand, please. Don't just surprise people with smacking them with your rope tail ends. They got a nice little crisp whip to them. Very good, very good. And essentially you can mirror the same thing we did over here on the other arm. Let me do that. Doing it on both sides can lead to cool designs like this. Something relatively simple and restrictive if you're doing it to yourself or to someone else. Because I want to make this a little bit more of an approachable video, I'm not going to create anything too complex when it comes down to the extra we had at the wrists, you know, go down into the hands and then perhaps back up, creating a weave. Maybe for another time. But as I said before, it is a simple tool that can be easily elevated. How elevated, you might ask? Well, let me show you. Bang! What do we think about that? We have large ladders taken off the appendage. We've added another rope in order to give it some thickness, in order to give it some vitality and life. And we've also offset it from the center, which creates a lot of cool negative space right here. And the way that these thick bands hug in that nice sequential pattern is really cool. And really all you're using is the ladder, a simple tool that can be elevated. If you want for your homework rope, you can replicate this. It just takes two 30-foot bundles of rope. Or you can experiment with your own kind of ladder design. Create something. Do you want to create a weaving pattern instead of something that is parallel with the other rope? Because you can have one rope go down and then one in the opposite pattern, creating a weave, or following it with a weave. There are so many options available. Imagination is boundless. You got it. Use it, you beautiful person, you. Well, hey! I hope you had as much fun learning from that tutorial as we did teaching them to you. She is currently working on making a suspension rope bridge. No, I don't think it'll work. I think she's going to create a mess and I'm the one who's going to have to clean it up. I probably shouldn't, you're correct. Anywho, I would be remiss if I did not bring up my other lovely sponsors for today, the wonderful people over at Patreon. That's patreon.com/Rory's Brainworks, just like this YouTube channel. They are my rope vanguard, my colonizers of dreams. And without them, these ropey endeavors would be way harder to accomplish. Thank you for spending your time with me. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to this madness, and comment down below what kind of ropey things you would like us to teach you. As always, I'm Rory. This is our brain. I'm fairly certain it works. Be safe and go create some art.